Imagine a world where the adrenaline of the fight meets the sinister world of illegal business dealings, where every punch thrown and every chokehold applied is not just for sport, but for a much darker agenda. What if I told you the premier organization of mixed martial arts has a hidden side that most people never see? Are you curious to know the truth behind the cage? Stick around, because today we are uncovering the dark secrets of the UFC that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about this popular sport. The UFC has captivated millions of fans around the globe with its high-intensity, brutal, and often bloody matches. But beneath the veneer of athleticism and sportsmanship lies a shadowy world of illegal business practices, and today, we are exposing the hidden reality. Let's dive into some real examples to illustrate just how dark things can get. One of the most alarming aspects of the UFC's underbelly is the prevalence of fight fixing, where the outcome of a match is predetermined through illegal means. In the past, there have been several instances where fighters have confessed to throwing matches for financial gain or to secure future opportunities. This not only undermines the integrity of the sport, but also puts the lives and careers of fighters at risk. What would you do if you found out that your favorite fighter was involved in such a scandal? Another dark aspect of the UFC is the exploitation of its fighters. Many fighters have been vocal about the lack of fair compensation, lack of benefits, and the unforgiving nature of the contracts they are forced to sign. Some fighters have even gone on to form their own organizations, seeking a fairer, more transparent system. With the UFC's monopoly on the sport, fighters have little choice but to accept these terms, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. How would you feel knowing that the athletes you cheered for are fighting not just for glory, but for basic financial security? The world of illegal gambling also casts a long shadow over the UFC. Unregulated, underground betting rings thrive on the outcomes of these matches, with millions of dollars changing hands on any given fight night. The involvement of organized crime syndicates in these betting rings raises questions about the extent to which they may have infiltrated the UFC itself. How deep does this connection go, and how much of the sport is influenced by the criminal underworld? Moreover, the UFC has faced allegations of fostering a culture of substance abuse, with numerous fighters testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs and other banned substances. This not only casts doubt on the legitimacy of the sport, but also puts the health and safety of the fighters at risk. With the pressure to perform at the highest level, how many more athletes are turning to dangerous substances just to keep up? Lastly, the UFC's promotion of violence and aggression has been criticized for its potential to normalize and even glorify violence in our society. The impact of this culture extends beyond the Octagon, with instances of domestic violence and assault involving fighters making headlines. Are we willing to accept the consequences of promoting such a violent sport? And at what point do we draw the line between entertainment and harm? Adding to the darkness is the exploitation of young, aspiring fighters who often come from impoverished backgrounds. Many of these young athletes see the UFC as their ticket out of poverty, only to find themselves trapped in a vicious cycle of injuries, financial struggles, and career instability. What does it say about the sport when those who dream of stardom are left with shattered dreams and broken bodies? In recent years, the UFC has also been accused of silencing its critics and whistleblowers. Journalists, fighters, and even fans who dare to speak out against the organization's unethical practices often find themselves facing threats, intimidation, and blacklisting. This chilling culture of fear raises serious concerns about freedom of speech and the lengths to which the UFC is willing to go to protect its image. How can we trust an organization that seems to value its reputation over the well-being of its fighters and the integrity of the sport? Furthermore, the UFC has been linked to tax evasion scandals, which has exposed the organization's greed and willingness to break the law in order to maximize profits. As the organization rakes in millions of dollars from pay-per-view events and merchandise sales, fighters are left to struggle with meager paychecks and mounting medical bills. Do we, as fans, have a moral obligation to demand transparency and fair treatment for these athletes? Finally, the UFC's exploitation of nationalistic sentiments and racial tensions to promote fights has led to a disturbing trend of hate and division among fans. The organization has frequently pitted fighters from different countries or ethnic backgrounds against one another, capitalizing on these rivalries to sell tickets and pay-per-views. In doing so, the UFC is arguably fueling animosity and perpetuating stereotypes, all in the name of profit. Should we hold the organization accountable for the social consequences of its marketing tactics? As we peer into the darkness that surrounds the UFC, we are left to ponder the true cost of our entertainment. Fight fixing, exploitation, illegal gambling, substance abuse, a culture of violence and mistreatment of young athletes, suppression of dissent, tax evasion, and the promotion of hate. These are the spotlight of the Octagon. But the question remains, are we, as fans, complicit in the dark underbelly by continuing to support the sport? In this world of digital deception, the truth often lies hidden beneath layers of secrecy and manipulation. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening content that will challenge your perspective on the world around us. Remember, in the age of deception, it's up to us to unveil the truth and demand change where it's needed.